Platos Cave on WZZR. Actually, that's probably not true anymore. On Revolution Radio, on Revolution.radio. That's right. From Australia, the land down under. We're going to have many ideas which are fresh and uncensored, and we're going to talk about them. Hey! Whoop. Most importantly, the station is not sponsored by anyone other than you who wants to listen. So if you can, please do donate, that is, and if you can't, that's okay, because things are tough all over. Please go ahead and tell people about the station. Today is the 24th of October 2024.
That's so right.
It's Halloween and it's Christmas, and before you know it, it's 2025, and that's just going entirely too fast. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, all the time on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere, or listen at home on a Grace Table of Digital Radio. But you know what? Archives are free. Another good reason to donate. Archives are completely free. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, which we will do, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast in Australia. And for Dave,
it's the Dark Tongue.
And for myself, of course, the Barak people. And we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. So many things to talk about. But let me ask you, how are you, Dave?
How am I? Oh, I've got a little bit of a cough for some reason, but that's all right. Probably from the public transport that I had to use. But I'm going to tell you, we have food banks around. It's not like the seed bank. It's a food bank, and it's food that's right on the turn. And it's just about to hit its expiry date, and it's donated to a charity, and then you just pay a very small fee to get the food. And I had to go there for the first time in my whole life. I spent $25. $25, man.
I saw the picture, I have to say.
And it was about $300 worth of food.
Oh my, it reminded me of the good old days 30 years ago when I went shopping for the first time in Australia.
Yeah, didn't it, right?
Oh, right, look, but I want to say something about best before and use by here for a second, just for 1 second, right? Because I'm notorious. I buy stuff and then it sits there for a while because, the moment I buy it, I think, that'd be good to eat. Hey. And then, a couple of years later, you think, oh, well, maybe I should eat it. And I've eaten things that were well overdue. Now, best before is my guideline, and I had something that was a year after best before, and I was fine. It was fine. Now, use by is usually on milk and things like that.
To be on perishables.
Yeah, you probably have another week, though, I reckon,
it depends on the product, and take care to understand the food that you're going to consume, and how that might have listeria or other nasties growing in it.
If the milk has lumps when you pour it, probably don't drink it. That's just all I'm saying to you. No, but best before, there's a best before date on honey, Dave. There's a best before date on water. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There's a best before date on olive oil.
And also salt.
Yeah, that's probably the best.
If you've seen the expiry date on what's it? The pink salt you get from the mountains.
Yeah, that's the
Himalayan
salt.
Pink salt. Yeah, that's right.
So that's complete nonsense. That's
it's always going to be salt.
Salt is it's a rock, essentially. Okay, and it will never go off. In fact, having it near things will make sure that those things don't go off.
That's right.
Okay, that's why we put meat and salt and such, and fish and all those things, because nothing lives in salt. Back in the day when they raised cities, they would sprinkle salt so nothing grows there.
Sprinkle?
Okay. Sprinkle.
Cake it in salt.
That's what happened.
If you're from Norway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but they have these things obviously because they want us to buy things more frequently than necessary. Or you look at, oh geez, best before, oh geez, it's a week over or whatever it is, oh, the honey, now throw the honey out. Honey never goes off. Honey never goes off, full stop, it doesn't. If it's real honey, mind you, real honey, not one of those
Not the
sugar water
fake honey.
fakies that you can buy these days.
No.
Real honey never ever goes off. Same with salt. Now, with water, you know, you make up your own mind what you want to do with your water. Okay, so you know, if push comes to shove, get yourself a survival straw and drink it through that. But look, to Dave's point though, people make use of that service these days in two-income families.
Wow.
Okay? So that is a thing. You have a two-income family, and you still have to make use of that service. That's a reality in Australia. Okay, I'm not saying other parts of the world have it worse. You know, certainly I think America is in a pretty bad shape, but that's a fact.
Well,
Okay?
do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking that it was like receiving rations. I didn't choose. There was no supermarket. These were in pre-created parcels, and there you go. But it included a washing basket full of bread. Like maybe 9 loaves of bread. All different kinds of bread. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bread.
It is a bucket load of bread.
But there was fruit and vegetables and some immediate treats as well. There weren't any soft drinks, which is really good. Though there was some fresh made kind of like a watermelon sparkling drink, which I've never seen before.
Oh, okay.
Something else. Yeah. So, to be honest, there was do you know what? Belinda and I were talking about it, and she said that it could feed you for a week for a pair of people. The only thing you'd have to buy on top of that would be butter, because it's too perishable. Butter and some kind of bread topping, like peanut butter or Vegemite or something that you would jam or what have you, and milk, because there was cereal in there. So only those immediate perishables, and you're good.
Yeah. Now, because we're on the topic, and it is timely because of what happened both in the world and in Australia, well, just now actually.
Yeah.
So, but I have to ask a question before I go into that, and then I also want to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. But how many people do you think, Dave? And it's not a real question; it's a rhetorical question, obviously. How many people do you think go to the food bank that don't need to go to the food bank?
I don't know. In the queue that I was there witness to, there wasn't anyone there, I don't think, in a big Range Rover with a puffer jacket.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, this is my second Rolex. My other Rolex is in the shop. No.
That's right. It's my daily Rolex, not my weekender.
That's right.
No, so there was only people that I could see that were truly in need. There might be. I've got a very small sample section. There's only 3 cars in front and 3 behind me that I could see. No one else was there. So, and it's run by a church.
Oh,
and
of course.
They receive the free items and they make the profit by selling. They don't know. There's probably about 12 people packaging the items from refrigerated, facilities there. And look, I'm going to tell you, there was some things that you had to eat yesterday, as far as fruit was concerned. That's fine, because we cut them up and put them in the dehydrator immediately, so they'll be fine. They'll keep.
Yeah.
And
that's another thing.
If you are making a stew, then not beef stroganoff or anything, but if you're making soup or a stew, some of those other vegetables would be great. Just put straight in there, and then you can cook that up and freeze it. But
100%.
I reminded my family that if things got really bad and we went to wartime, and there was only a certain amount of rations, this is how you would get it. You would line up. They'd give you the rations. You go home.
Yeah.
There's no shopping. Think about that, how that would work.
That's how it used to. It's actually worse. In wartime, sometimes there were the Russians, and my grandmother used to go. It was called hamster, meaning like a little hamster. You're trying to find provisions. You would go to at night. You would go to the farmers' fields, looking for the potatoes they didn't harvest, or carrots or beetroot or whatever have you, whatever they could find at the farmer's site. That after the war, mind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, rations. I mean, they had artificial honey that you got with a ration card. It was just a block of, I guess, spun sugar kind of thing.
Sure.
And you're right, though. There is no shopping. But to come back to the
whoever your country is, wherever you live, the food is going to the troops.
Well, of course.
The good food is going to the troops. Now, the rest of the people aren't in a position to be able to create the food, so there's very limited resources. As we've seen in prior wars, we haven't had one in the electronic age, like a world war yet. I say yet. But focusing on... Oh, Becky, did you see that some people got scurvy? Did you see that article? There was a news article there.
Yeah, and the funny thing with diseases or conditions like
nice
scurvy,
one, Flea, in the chat room.
There are no doctors. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much what it looked like, Flea.
That's right.
They don't recognize it because it's not something you encounter in a modern society. Scurvy is brought about by the lack of vitamin C, because your body can't make vitamin C. Okay, we can make a whole bunch of stuff from all the stuff we put into it, but vitamin C you actually have to take, you have to eat in order for your body to have it. And what it leads to is cell degradation, essentially, which means that you start getting bleeding gums, and you're dying from cell wastage.
That's right.
It's not a good way to go. It's not a good way to go. But
so I've never felt. Sorry, Mackie, go ahead.
No, it's the picture that Flea put up there.
Yeah,
in the Ukraine. Brotverkauf auf dem Markte von Proskurov. Very nice. That's what it says. That's the caption of the picture. Sorry.
Yeah. Is that like? Is that like? What does that mean?
Oh, sorry. In the Ukraine, this is just selling bread at the market of Proskurov. That's it.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's all it says. Not
good
that
on you, Flea. Thank you for contributing.
That's pretty cool.
So I've never felt as poor as I had to stop being proud and just go there. That's what I had to do, yeah. And
do what you gotta do, man.
I know, totally. No, and I get it. I'm not crying poor. We're doing it extremely tough, and so I felt. Belinda told me, just shut up, Dave, and go down there and can you get some food, right? And so yeah, sure. We take advantage of 10 and 20% discounts and maybe half price, whatever day it is. And there's a website for half price with both the major retailers listing all their items in there. And you just go in and get that and get out, right? So you avoid the traps. And but anyway, so both big retailers here in Australia, just for that matter, were found to be fraudulently advertising prices as this is 20% off, and when you lift the tag, it's sitting over the old price tag, and it wasn't 20% off. They show it as 20%, but it wasn't. And this advertising for price is a bit of a scandal at the moment. I think Coles has just been reported, and I think Woolworths is coming next. But look, it's a tragedy. I saw a news item this afternoon that Japan isn't in inflation; it's in deflation.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Completely shocked to see that. Like, we're all doing it really tough, and that's wow. Okay, I don't wish it upon us, but it just flat would be good for me. But you can't have everything. Now, what was the thing I messaged you, Mackie? I messaged you a lot, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do.
Which particular thing?
Did you? Oh, I'm. Look, you take it, and I'll find the thing that I was talking about.
Okay. Now, I just wanted to say that prepping is becoming important, and you really have to understand what food stores and what food doesn't store, right? If you have canned goods, if the can, sort of bulges at the lid, it's off. Chuck it out. Otherwise, it might still be okay. Just be wary, be careful. Like we said, though, honey stores forever. Vodka, is I think Flea pointed out. Is it Flea? Or
I would trade for vodka.
Who was it? Vodka. Where are we?
Yeah,
no, Omega Logos. Sorry.
Omega Logos. Yeah.
11. Yeah. But yeah, look. Omega Logos. Vodka. Salt you want to keep as well, because salt is good for a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Honey is also good for your wounds. If you get injured, put honey on it. There's a whole bunch of things that you do need, and it's pertinent, because here in Australia recently there was a storm out west, but 4 or 5 hours out of Sydney west, past the Blue Mountains, and the entire community there lost power because the power lines came down. The storm took them down, and then the two backup generators failed as well. Well, one was already gone, but then the other one failed, and the entire town was without power. And also what you do, you go to the camping shop, get camping gear, it pays to prepare these days. You can say what you want. The weather is getting more unpredictable. The weather events are becoming more and more severe.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
We had massive storms hit America, Asia, Europe. It's a thing. You can deny it. Good luck to you. But it's not a bad idea to have stuff at home. Have things at hand, and just in case you can't get help. But what would you do if you called your emergency number, 000 in Australia, 911 in America, and we all know it's really 912. But no, I'm kidding.
Who
it's
back the electric
but what would you
car?
do? That's the one. But what would you do if no one answered? That's a real thing.
That actually
could
happened
happen
here. Yeah.
And if your power goes out, and in fact those people living out in the community, they most of the telephones rely on power. With the power went their telephone.
That's the NBN for you.
Yeah, think about that for a second. That's not good.
Yeah,
that doesn't help anyone. But it was a thing. It was a reality. So prepping or preparing is a good thing. It's
now the power company is giving $200 to every person, every resident in Broken Hill. Which won't be enough to do anything, because everyone lost all of their stock, all their food in their fridge, and right now you can't buy anything, so they're just going to sit there looking at the $200 wishing it was something they could eat. And you can't drink the water either. The groundwater in Broken Hill is contaminated with lead from the mines, and the two mines have shut down because they don't have enough power on the grid to run.
No, and it's a safety thing, because obviously everything is powered, the lifts, etc., lighting. So it's all completely shut down.
Yeah.
And there's having compensation and lawsuits, and that's nice for tomorrow, but we have got a today problem, right?
So they did recover. They recovered the generator, and that's up and running again. But it'll be weeks before they get the power lines even temporarily connected.
Oh, but they also lost tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands worth of stuff, goods, in the freezer, in the fridge.
Yeah, that's right. The whole shopping centre was down. Yeah, that's right.
And they interviewed a guy today, and he goes, "Yeah, I know they got it up and running again." He said, "But do I trust it? Am I going to go out and buy $20,000 worth of stock?" He was a business owner, right?
Yeah.
And he had a cafe, I think, or something. And he goes, "Well, will I? What if it comes out again and I lose another $20,000 worth of stock?"
That's right.
Right. What it does is it leaves you uncertain, right? You lose trust in the things that you think you should have. Remember last time I spoke about, as a kid, what all the things I guess I thought I should have. I never thought about it consciously, but all the things I expected then, and then eventually from life that I thought I was entitled to, I should have, right? Not consciously, but I just expected to have a roof over my head and food. I expected to be warm in the winter and cool in summer. I expected to have health care and things like that, right? It didn't occur to me that I couldn't have it as a child. And of course, today we are living in a world where none of this is guaranteed. None of it.
That's right.
And that's the real problem. I mean, look at the world now, right? I mean, Ukraine and Russia have been at war forever, and now you got North Koreans and other mercenaries come into the conflict as well. European, look out, there'll be boots on the ground at some point. Israel, after 1 year, it's been a year. Israel has been at war for a year with the Palestinians, and now also with Lebanon. But Lebanon is really funny because they're not really at war with Lebanon, which is really, really strange, right? The Lebanese army hasn't done anything. They're at war with Hezbollah, which is a militia group. Anyway, just odd. I just thought it was a really odd thing. Anyway, and it is clear that there must still be Hamas in the north of Gaza because they're bombing the living daylights out of northern Gaza. Mm-hmm. They've killed in excess of 40,000 civilians, with a very big chunk of children and women. They've destroyed massive amounts of infrastructure. I think Gaza is completely unlivable, to be honest with you. And southern Lebanon, same thing, but they don't restrict themselves to southern Lebanon. They're striking the capital city of Beirut, and even the northern areas, which are in majority Christian Lebanese, which you probably won't find too many Hezbollah fighters in. They have been bombed as well, and now they bombed the bank in like 30 branches of this Hezbollah-run bank. It's not part of the official banking system; it's all cash. But it's said that Hezbollah might have lost, in excess of $2 billion in those strikes. Which of course puts a big chunk of them out of commission. But having said that, all the things that Israel has done, all the bombing and the degradation of infrastructure and services, they still haven't won. They're still bombing. That's a
good point. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's still active military operations. I mean, I'm not saying it's like Russia and Ukraine, right? Because the loss of life, as far as I know, at least on the Israeli side, is minor compared to the loss of life on the Palestinian side and Lebanese side now. But from a operational point of view, right? People might have thought, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk, and we're going to get this done fairly quickly, or whatever. Not at all. Whatever's going on, it is clear that Israel in a year has not been able to destroy either Hamas or Hezbollah. There are some significant strikes against these organizations,
true.
Right?
And they've taken some, not all, but some of the leadership out, but they're just replaced.
That's the thing. It's like a whack-a-mole. Remember the whack-a-mole? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. In a carnival, there was this physical game. It's not a computer game where there was little heads popping out of holes, 12, 13 holes, whatever.
And you have
to whack them with a melon. You're like a cushion melon. That's called a whack-a-mole. You hit one, another two pop up. It's taking the leadership out. Yeah, it might have an initial effect, but there are a couple of things that you can no longer do. If you take the leadership out, you can no longer negotiate. Who do you negotiate with? Who do you talk to? Right? You killed them. They're all dead. Okay, so that's bad. So what happens to the rest of what happens if you want to have a ceasefire or get the rest of the hostages off? Nothing, because there's no one left to talk to.
That's right.
In fact, I wouldn't proclaim I'm the new leader.
No,
I wouldn't. If I was the new leader for Hamas or Hezbollah or whatever, I wouldn't say it's me. I'd keep that real under wraps. I'll be the leader, sure enough, but I wouldn't tell a soul. Not officially. I mean, eventually it'll come out, but I'm not going to put a target on my back. That's stupid, right? Because they just killed a hopeful or a leader hopeful.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And again, it's counterproductive because a lot of people don't know this, but the 30 Year War was pretty horrendous in Europe, right? It lasted for 30 years, so it's pretty bad. 1618 to 1648. It was really kind of sort of Protestants against Catholics. That's what it was kind of, and it was really, it came to an end, and I think it came largely to an end, in my opinion, because of the Ottoman threat, that was building up in the East. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But it came to an end, and Europeans were horrified. And there was sort of this movement throughout the 17th and 18th century to make the war more gentlemanly, and the French, the British, the Germans, even the Russians, they all sort of adhered to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. You wouldn't specifically target the officers. Why? Well, because then you just have a couple of mobs running at each other, right? And that's no good to anyone, really, right? So they felt that the officers
square grouped battalions to walk against
Correct.
each other. That's so stupid. I'd be sniping the generals. That's what I'd be doing.
That's you with your modern head on, right? But in the olden days, if you didn't have
it was
leadership,
a gentleman's war. Yeah, that's right.
then no, but it would just dissolve into mob war, and people would be hacking at each other, and there'd be no order, there'd be no orderly retreat, there'd be no orderly advance, and loss of life might be higher, and especially if you started, you then maybe have brigands going and raiding, citizens and non-combatants and civilians, etc. So
it's the power of authority that they refused to give up. The generals drinking tea on the, or Sancerre, overlooking the battlefield, and commanding the troops to, making sure that they're gonna. It's like playing chess. I want them to go from here to there, right? That's it. Well,
to some extent, but the officers in the field, and that's
yes.
really where the usefulness was. The officers in the field were not meant to be targeted specifically. Now, I don't know if you remember this. There's actually a point made, which I found really interesting and historically accurate, and I was very happy with that, in the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson. And he was fighting, the British, obviously. He had Cornwallis. I think he intercepted his stuff and he stole his memoirs or whatever, his dogs and whatnot. And they talked about the rules of war and the rules of engagement. And then one of them was what the Americans said, they did target the officers specifically. Mm-hmm. And Cornwallis said, according to civilized war engagement rules, we would prefer, or we would really like if you didn't specifically target our officers, to send the chaos, the whole battlefield, etc., etc. So that was the British expectation that should be honored by the Americans, mm-hmm. to not target the officers. But historically speaking, that's exactly what used to happen in Europe, right? They didn't target the officers. I mean, if you got killed in a war, that's just too bad. But they didn't specifically single you out with, like, under sniper fire, as Dave suggests they should, because they felt it just not the right way to do it, because men would lose leadership on the battlefield. But that's neither here nor there. The thing that I find interesting is that there are no more rules of engagement.
No, that's right.
It's down. I mean, you look at what's happening anywhere now.
Yep.
Every second report, maybe more now, 2 out of 3, is about civilian targets, hospitals, and I'm talking about any conflict now, both in the Ukraine and in the Middle East, and it's just how it is. I mean, this is all craziness. I know we keep saying this, but North Korea blew up the bridges to South Korea, and now they're sending troops into the Ukraine. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. No, it's not. But whatever. China sort of encircled Taiwan with its fleet. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and
I've got
India
two
and
extras
so the
for
BRICS nations are just meeting now.
Yep.
As
so
you know, and
Modi says it shouldn't be an East-West thing.
That's correct.
That's right. That's good on you, Modi. But let's see how far that goes. Turkey got their aircraft manufacturing facility terrorist attacked today, with 2 people coming in claiming blah 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 and shot up a bunch of people, and then Turkey attacked targets in Iraq and Syria. Yes,
they're blaming the PKK.
They are.
So the PKK is the Kurdish
the Kurds,
workers,
yes,
separatist party, and as far as the Turks are concerned, the PKK is a terrorist organization.
That's right.
But it is not a terrorist organization in all Western nations, which is again, potato. So, look, it all depends on the point of view, right? As to who's who in the zoo.
Did you think, Becky, there'd be another thing tomorrow, like yesterday? Do you think now
absolutely.
Turkey would be doing something? It's just
crazy. Turkey, look.
The US were bombing Houthis. Now, Turkey's bombing the PPK, right? Israel's doing both Hamas and Hezbollah.
Oh, they've also struck at Iran, and they're striking at Yemen also.
Who? Turkey?
Israel.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So, I don't know about you, Maggie. I don't know about you, but it's getting worse, in my opinion. My humble, little old opinion, it seems to be getting worse.
I've got RT, Al Jazeera, Die Zeit, Guardian, and the BBC open, right? Mm-hmm. Just the front pages.
Mm-hmm. And what's their headline story?
Oh, look. Okay. The Guardian. 4 in 10 deaths in war zones last year were women. UN finds. And then we have RT. West believes it can defeat Russia is a mere illusion, says Putin. Israeli attack on Gaza school kills at least 16, including children. Turkey strikes. They haven't made the change. Turkey strikes Iraq, Syria after attack on defense company near Ankara.
Yep.
It's site. 7 people were executed in one day in Saudi Arabia. Interesting. That's right. Top there. And the third story is that Turkish fighter jets are attacking Kurdish positions. Doesn't say in the headline in which country. The Guardian, I just shared the Guardian with you, and the BBC. What does the BBC tell us? Commonwealth leaders to defy UK on slavery reparations. That's the headline. That's an interesting one, actually. That's a really interesting one. But no, yes, it is getting worse, my friend, in many ways. Because now Israel is being accused of war crimes now by a lot more people. In fact, IDF soldiers, now this is interesting, IDF soldiers, which is the Israeli Defense Force soldiers, should refuse orders that may be war crimes. And you know who says this? The Israeli ex-security advisor, or an Israeli ex-security advisor said this. What?
Yeah.
We are seeing the erosion of really entrenched lines here. I mean, entrenched. And we're seeing the fortification and strengthening of other entrenched lines, which is really interesting. So on one side, you see things dissolving, right? There's a lot of conflict within the EU, for example, right? Hungary is not really very happy with, going against Russia in the Ukraine conflict, for example. Mm-hmm. You also see, but at the same time, NATO has welcomed, some of the Scandinavian nations into its ranks, because after the Ukraine invasion, they thought this is no good.
Yeah.
And North Korea, China, and Russia are certainly strengthening their ties, right? Whereas the relationship between Israel and the United States and other Western allies is really under a lot of strain, because I asked this before, Dave, and it's a rhetorical question, but what is the end game here for Israel? I mean, I know what the end game is, but if you were an Israeli spokesperson, right, out there, and same with Russia, by the way,
yeah,
what are you trying to do? You've been at this for a year, Israel. For a year, you've bombed Gaza into a field of rubble. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And yet you insist to bomb it more.
More.
Right? Ukraine is Ukraine. Putin, what is your end game here? You've lost hundreds of thousands of people.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, both killed and wounded, but that's I mean if you're wounded, that's that's
you're still taken out
for the rest of your life.
That's
well, yeah, plus you need help and all kinds of things. So realistically speaking, what higher purpose does this serve now? If it had been over in a week or even in a half year, you could claim, look, I cleaned up the Ukraine, no more Nazis, whatever.
That was the original call. That's right.
Right? Yeah. Nobody talks about that anymore.
No.
And you could go, okay, I get it. You can claim a victory here, Putin. Good for you. But now, after 3 years, and hundreds of thousands, dude, and Israel after a year as well. Okay. So you have degraded Hamas and Hezbollah, but not enough. You will not. Okay, this is the thing, though.
How can you? How can you wipe out an imaginary enemy?
Yeah.
Right.
Now there are millions of Palestinians in the world, millions, right, and millions in that area now, still millions, and they've killed. Let's go with the conservative official numbers. Just over 40,000 killed 40,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that would have affected hundreds of thousands of people, relatives, friends, etc. And even if only a small fraction of those people became radicalized because of this, you have given Hamas, Hezbollah, and ISIS and other organizations like that the best recruiting ground for the next 20 years.
That's right.
You don't even have to preach hatred. You don't have to convince anyone. You've just seen Israel bomb your entire family into smithereens. You've seen it. It happened. There it is.
There it is.
You've seen thousands of children, tens of thousands actually, being killed in strikes. You've created so much hatred. We're good for another 100 years.
Oh, keep going.
Of conflict. You know, Dave, it's insanity, and it is driven by 2 people in Israel and 1 person in Russia. There are 3 people right now, and you can point fingers at them. 3 people, because Netanyahu is he responsible? Yes, but he's not the driving force.
That's right.
3 people responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths right now for the last couple of years, and 1 year now for Israel. 3 people, 3. Okay. Was what happened in October last year good? No, it was terrible. I still maintain it was a false flag, but that's my opinion.
That's right. So.
Or at the go on.
No, go on.
No, that's it.
So, all right, it's escalating. At what point will it cease to escalate? Is what I've been wondering. Because I'm only seeing it continue to escalate, getting worse, and
but can it stop to escalate?
Well, this is all the conflicts around the world. Just seeing there's more and more getting added onto it, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for other smaller countries not to have an attack against a terrorist organization, but rather they're all doing it. How about we just, never like the neighbours, not your personal neighbours sharing, but as a country. How about we just, always wanted that land. Let's just go take it. Who's going to stop us now?
Yes, you're exactly 100% correct, my friend. That's exactly what's going to happen. And you just, you know what they're all waiting for?
They're waiting for the big war to start.
No.
No.
They're waiting for the election. They want to see who gets into power in the States.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's the one thing. Because once they know who that is, they know exactly how far they can push and what they can do.
That's right.
Okay? That's what they're waiting for, to see who's gonna take it and who's gonna run with it. Because if it's Trump, people will feel encouraged internationally to do more of the I guess attacking and taking and whatever, because Donald Trump is not interested at all in international politics. Not really. He wants to focus on America, and I can't blame him. I cannot blame him. Being Globocop for the last 60, 70 years.
That's right.
Has been catastrophic for America.
It's actually quite a drain on your resources.
Oh, horrible!
But it keeps them active and serviceable.
It keeps the weapons. According to Flea's point, it keeps all those weapons manufacturers and whatnot in champagne and caviar for the foreseeable future.
It certainly does that.
Yeah, but if you were to step back, it would be catastrophic for the world because of that reason. You know, I understand why he would do it. And again, from America's point of view, in my opinion, America should never have gone down the path it did. But you know, that's neither here nor there. We are where we are. But I can see how he wants to rein it back in. I get it. I get it.
So
NATO? I'm not really interested in NATO. Pay more. You know, get people to pay more for NATO. I don't want to pay for it anymore.
I agreed. I actually agreed with him on that.
From an American point of view, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, totally.
But
why are we paying so much damn money? They should be paying some money into it. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the rest of the world, like depending again on specific nations, you know, if NATO were to lose, let's say, some of its power and might, let's call it might, because it's not really power, it's might, and America sort of, you know, draws back, etc. You know, the support for the Ukraine from America would dry up as well. What would happen? Well, you know, other alliances would come to the fore. I think the BRICS pact is actually pretty good. That's what they're trying to do there. You know, India's. I mean, look at all the nations none of the nations have a common goal in BRICS. None of them.
No.
Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, India, China, and there are others now invited as well.
None
of them.
South Africa, yeah.
Yeah. They're not bound really by anything common other than they all want to be superpowers, just like America. That's really what. Fair enough too. I get it. But it's really interesting to see it, and there will be other coalitions forming. You know, Southeast Asia, I think, is you know, ASEAN. That's a good coalition, powerful, a lot of people there. By the way, BRICS has all the BRICS nations combined have I think it's 30 or 40, maybe more percent of the world's population.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's a big chunk of people in BRICS. China and India alone, we're looking at close to 3 billion there, right?
That's right.
So, and then you have the coalition of the Pacific. You know, that's happening as well. The Commonwealth is still happening. I find it interesting though that the king doesn't want to apologize for slavery, which it's up to him. But the other Commonwealth nations are saying, nah, you're not going to get away that easy. Which, you know, sort of reminds me of what happened with Miss. What was her name?
The one that didn't last as long as it lettuce.
Yeah. No. She was shouting at the king.
Lydia Thorpe.
Lydia. Something. Anyway.
Yeah.
She's changing her story. I had more respect for her when she said I deliberately mispronounced my oath to office.
She said
to
hairs.
Yeah. I respected her. Now she's backtracked and said my English is not very good. That's what she said. So I mispronounced it. Come on. Stick with your story. So they pick out of the Senate. So what?
She said misspoke, not mispronounced, because that would mean that she intended to say the word, but misspoke is saying the wrong word, but what it actually means, if you think about it, she said that pledging her allegiance to the Queen's hairs means it's still to the Queen.
That's correct.
Oddly enough.
But she had to sign a paper, so from that point of view, it's all okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wish she had stuck to her. She had stuck to her guns and said, "Yeah, I deliberately mispronounced it." Not.
Yes.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But to your point, Dave, your question rather, is it getting worse? Yes.
100%.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Uh-huh.
Now, look at your own personal situation just for a second, and I look, and I'll be honest with you, I'm feeling the pinch all over the place myself. Not as badly as others, but the pinch is definitely there. So, look at your situation, and your situation is probably templated across millions of people in Australia
100%.
and tens,
That's right.
if not hundreds of millions across the world. That's where we are.
Yeah.
We are in a situation where, I mean, it's easy to say cost of living crisis. What does it mean? So what? It's a catchphrase, right? What it means is you make choices, and this is a real thing. You make choices between heating, for example, or maybe cooling your place and eating, maybe paying rent and eating, or certainly your kids can no longer partake in after school or before school activities. That's right out the window. And I told you that months ago, maybe even more than a year now, people were saying this on a soccer field, for example. My daughter plays soccer, and they said it's just a lot less kids now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cost a lot, but it's enough. If it's $50,
You got to
it's
cut
$50.
back. Yeah,
You can imagine how much rice or potatoes you can buy for $50.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm serious, right?
A
It's
small
that's where
cup,
we are
a small cup's worth. Nah.
these days. But yeah, it's quite terrifying to look at the world and go, how did it go so wrong so quickly? And the answer, of course, is because it was planned that way. This is not an accident. This is not some kind of happenstance
No, it's
we're
not.
witnessing here. This is carefully planned and laid out.
Think
Why
about.
do I say this?
Yeah,
Well,
go on.
Oh, because look at who's benefiting from this.
Oh no, all the wealthy.
Ah,
See, by increasing the chasm between us and them, we can never ever attain them. The moat that's being created, we can't ever get to their echelon. We're just going to be in servitude. Now, I know I said it before, but it's getting worse. And the countries, this is the weird part. All of the countries who signed up to the WEF, Great Reset, are all the countries that are being impacted by inflation. The ones that didn't are not. They're not. I think there's something here. I think there's something in it, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular at all. I don't want any more drama. I just want a job. So I'm not, in ridiculous hardship. That's all I want. And I suppose it's better for them, having to not cut my brakes anymore, and do this instead. Maybe, I don't know. It's orchestrated. Who knows? I'm not relying on my conspiracy brain to try and solve anything. I just want to stay alive and keep my family together. That's all I want to do. Mackie, I had a really weird story. Boeing is having a really hard time, right? There was a Senate inquiry. The CEO was there saying he gave himself a 40% increase in wage, but it was at the detriment of the quality control for Boeing parts. Even titanium was no longer certified for aviation titanium because that was fraud. Apparently, the company they were buying it from just had a certificate that was Photoshop copied from someone else's certificate with their logo on it. And I heard and understand that the 737s can't be sold. No one wants to buy them. And the other one was this is a news story. One of Boeing's satellites has just blown up in space, and it was in orbit with debris becoming a potential threat to other satellites. And that's not going to be good. There's a vast gap between satellites. Vast. If something comes within a kilometre of you, that's, that you're okay. But in space, when there's an explosion and you're doing 22 times the speed of sound, and that debris field is moving now after the explosion like a very broad shotgun pellet range going around the planet, it's the same. It's 22,000. That's 22 times the speed of sound, which is 11,000 kilometers an hour or some crazy thing, and it's going to wipe out stuff as it comes in contact, just like the movie with Sandra Bullock, where there's a satellite debris flying around. Now there was a second one where, who was it? Was it China or India or someone blew up their own satellite to prove it? And that was a thing. So now there's two blobs of debris, like shotgun pellet blasts, going around the Earth in different directions. It's not good. So the deorbiting prediction is, 30, 40 years for it.
Yeah.
Because they were in orbit. So not low Earth orbit where they're encountering some resistance, but geez, really? Oh, maybe there's. No, I'm not going to say anything. That's all. That's my comment. Is it seems to be getting maybe a little more dangerous. And I wouldn't want there to be any more of that debris being built up by anything else that should happen in space, if you know what I mean. So, what is going on? Oh, the last story, Mickey, the last one, is did you see the Chinese robot did a standing long jump?
Okay, no, I didn't see that.
It
Really?
looks like,
Cool.
yeah, it's only 4'6" or something, this robot. It's totally a weapon. I've given you the link there, but it's totally a future weapons platform for sure. It's kind of like the Roger kind of robots. It looks like a direct copy of the X robot by Musk. I'm not saying it is. It just kind of resembles it. It's a lot shorter. Maybe the motors and things like that and battery life might be, being catered for here, but it's very dexterous.
It was just a matter of time. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, I thought it might be a couple of years away, but it's almost to the point where it's going to ask us if we know where Sarah Connor is, right?
Come with me if you want to live.
Get to the chopper. So I totally think we'll be fighting that as well. George Lucas and the Clone Army episodes, that's nuts. And remember how there were New Zealanders that were cloned for the Clone Army?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was the guy from Once More Warriors.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So on Earth, where is the rich person's haven in the world catastrophe? New Zealand. Where do all the billionaires have houses? New Zealand. Look, that's a very long bow, but it doesn't matter. I can talk
Not
about
really.
it. I can have a little joke.
I mean, look at the safe places. I mean, New Zealand, in my opinion, is
Almost the
extremely
number
safe
one.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly safe. I mean, there's one place. There's actually an island which is like 400 or 500 people living on it, which is about 2,500 miles from, I think, from Africa, and another 2,500 or 3,000 miles from America or something like that. So it's like in the middle of nowhere, literally, right?
Yeah,
It's just it'll take forever to get there. That'd be pretty safe, And you know what? This is what we always forget. I know we haven't got much time, but I'll talk about it again in the future. If there was a huge, catastrophe or whatever that came, upon the Earth, being a war or something else, at some point, you have to ask yourself who's going to survive. And the answer is very, very few people. Very, very, very few people. And some people might not even know that this event happened. I mean, thousands of years might pass before they might venture off their mountaintop or from their island or wherever they are to repopulate the world, right? Finding nothing because it's all gone. All the ruins are gone, even after all that time, and there's nothing left at all. I mean, very few things, if anything.
Yeah.
And the stories even are maybe just fragments of what they used to be. So it can happen so fast, and then there'll be people going, "Oh, it's not possible. This is true because we are experts." Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord! There's the music. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and a lot of interaction in the chat room. Thank you so much.
Thanks, chat.
Live in the streams, Omega Logos, Flee, Shermanator. That's my favorite helmet. Shermanator. Please don't go away. I'm sure going to bring up something awesome. This has been Platos Cave. Thank you so much. But most of all,
Be safe.